simple, dear. I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn. Your pawn. Your pawn. My love was in ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same. You can double down. I'll still be a proud haven for your love is never love. A river through your bluff, I will be enough, enough, enough. My love was in ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. Something you can never take, but it's not uncommon to forsake. Got a chronic urge to complicate. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy. Feeling I have nothing left to hide. I'll say what you know it when it's right. Keep it simple now, living it before I die. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy. My love was in ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same.
Um, it's okay. Super impromptu stream. I just figured out. Yeah, we're gonna call this a Cannaheads episode. That's what we're gonna call this. Welcome back to Cannaheads, a show that I have barely been doing for like the last month. And I need my shit. I totally just ran in here and yeah. Or else my headset is going to die in a minute if I don't turn something on the background. Jesus. Sorry, I know this is completely unprofessional. I totally just, yes, I literally ran in here, titled it, threw on stuff, and then walked away. All right. Cannaheads, your every once in a while news show about cannabis. I've been gone for like a month. I understand that. I'm sorry. But yeah. So during this entire month-long break that I took, so, okay, let's just back up. So during House Bill 1420, the Assistant Attorney General, her name is Tara Bradner. She had lobbied, I guess is what we can call it, she said, hey, I'm an assistant attorney general. You should, do this because I enforce these laws and you make them. So you guys should do what we ask. That's basically what happened. So she got a amendment passed for Delta 8. Now, let's talk about what Delta 8 is. Before I go on, I'm just going to present both sides of the argument. I believe that it's an invalid argument, but that's here nor there. So here's how Delta 8 is made. So you have CBD isolate. Now, you can get CBD with, 0.3% THC in it, Delta 9 THC. But you get CBD isolate, and you basically take, even though during the final passage in House, the person didn't want to say how it's made. It's basically vinegar, the acid that's in vinegar, and sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, I believe, is a cleaner for paint. Either way. And when I say a cleaner for paint, that does not mean like you're smoking paint thinner, okay? These chemicals are organic material, and it's used in all kinds of applications, including in food that you eat, or at least how it's made as far as the thickeners. It's essentially what it does is it will change the molecule of CBD to Delta 8, which is a slight variation. Actually, I can just show it. Delta 8. So this is what a Delta 8 THC molecule looks like. And then why don't I pull up a Delta 9? So essentially, yes, I did do absolutely no preparation here. All right, so Delta 9 looks like this. So this is the Delta 9 molecule right here. So this is the one that's in cannabis. And this is what the Delta 8 molecule looks like. So if you put these side by side somehow, there you go. And then this molecule, open image tab. I don't know how to do this well. Here. I'm sorry. I have not. That's why I don't do streams impromptu. But so the difference really, they're kind of flipped other way. Oh my gosh. All right. So really the difference is right here. This is Delta 9, or this is Delta 8. And in this scenario, this would be right here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So essentially, it's a weaker form of Delta 9. This happens over the span of about 3 days when it's sat in sulfuric acid and vinegar, essentially. After 3 days, CBD converts to 15% Delta 9. 54% of it goes to Delta 8. 10% goes to the isometric version of it, which is basically the Delta 8 molecule flipped the other way around. And CBD still stays in 10%. So this is usually how it was made. Now, how you got it in a flower form was after you've done this, glacial acetic acid. So it's not exactly vinegar, but it's very close. So after that, you basically want to evaporate the chemicals, and they have a lower boiling point, and that's the reason why you use one of the acids lowers the boiling point of the other. So you lower the boiling point, and then you will boil it to evaporate the actual chemical, and you're left with basically this clear gel that's Delta 8. Now, the argument that she has, and it's a slightly valid one, was that when the Farm Bill was made with CBD in mind, it was never intended to be kind of worked around to getting Delta 8 out of it. However, the way that the bill and the way that people have understood it is, it's hemp. It doesn't matter if it's a cannabis plant or a hemp plant. Well, the cannabis plant's illegal and the hemp plant is legal. So her view is that it's already illegal. And the reason why it's already illegal is actually through, well, I'm not sure why she hasn't done it this way. She could technically try to go for the Controlled Substances Act. What's it called? Wow, I'm blanking. It's basically a copy of, if you copy a drug that's illegal, Analog Act. If you copy a drug that's federally illegal, and if it looks like it, basically quacks like it type of a thing, then it is it. And that's, I think, where she's getting the it's already illegal. But one must ask, if it was already illegal, then why did you need this fucking thing to be passed? Yeah. So she went bill for bill, anything that had cannabis in it. So you got 1420. I believe the decrim bill also had that. I'm not 100% sure. 1213 has that and is right now in House, I want to say. It's in Senate. I think it's in Senate. But we can look that up right about. Basically, wrong one. So, signed by governor today. Oh, this is the wrong one. Did I click the wrong link? $423. So wait, this was already signed when everybody was saying that it was signed. So on Friday it was actually signed. It just got updated today. Which makes sense because it was the weekend. But you'd think that there'd be a little bit of news coverage. And that's my next point. One of the things that I was trying to do the most of is try to get it in the news as much as possible. Because if I were to Google House Bill 1045, North Dakota, and then I go to news, there really is absolutely no coverage of this happening. Let's go. Okay, this is House Bill 1420, North Dakota. We are going to sort by the last week. Maybe it's a thing. Let's go with that. Nope. There's literally no coverage. So I had actually reached out to Tom Angel, who's Marijuana Moment. Basically, I said I've been emailing around to possibly bring attention to 1045. Gave him the link. In North Dakota, it has passed both chambers and is on the governor's desk right now. This bill would effectively ban the sale and production of Delta 8. It's an emergency measure as well, so it would go into law the next day. Let me clarify that. So, don't take everything I say as gospel here, but I accidentally clicked on this link, and I believe it has to be filed with Secretary of State before it's actually. So if you have Delta 8, figure out a way to get rid of it. If that means smoke it all, which is what I have been doing, then do that. But the issue is, and what I'm most afraid of is actually the smoke shops right now. Because even during the hearings, they were talking about how there was like $250,000 worth of product in somebody's like shop, which is a lot of money. Now most smoke shops, they usually have a pretty decent relationship with their vendors, so they can be like, hey, this stuff became illegal, can I get a refund? Some of them will, some of them won't, depends on who you go through. But yeah, so there's going to be a huge scramble for that. The other thing that I'm slightly afraid of, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, to be quite honest, but in 2016, maybe even before, back when spice was a big deal, it had been made illegal. I believe it was in North Dakota, and it wasn't illegal yet in Minnesota. So a lot of smoke shop owners, because they realized how much money this stuff's made, had opened up shops in East Grand Forks, for in my area, for instance, or on the Minnesota side if they're close to the border. And they made hand over fist, and there was a huge price drop, and that's what we might be seeing here. Maybe check out your smoke shops if you guys can smoke really, really fast. Definitely not saying purchase it and just don't get caught. But yeah, you might be seeing some discounts. I'm not telling you to do illegal things though, so yeah, do your own research into your usage habits. But yeah, so she basically went, bill for bill, and tried to get this amendment on it. The amendment did pass. On this one, this is for sales, I believe. Maybe this is also possession. I believe 1213 is possession. Bill versions, sure. Marked up. The hell's all in here? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Wrong. This is the wrong version. The hell's different? Okay, this is the one. So it's also a very, very short and sweet one, which is kind of annoying. So basically says, oh, okay. So this is the growing one. So what this means is the total weight between Delta 8, Delta 9, and Delta 10 will have to be included in the 0.3%. Which isn't that bad, but at the same time, I mean, Delta 8 was in your hemp already. It's just not in that high quantity. So 0.3% across the board. It covers 7, 8, and 10. Another thing that Bradner had mentioned as well was that Delta 8 is already illegal because it's also Delta 6. That is true as well. The alternative name for Delta 8 was Delta 6. Tetrahydrocannabinoid, or whatever. Yeah, Delta 6 right here. So it was known as Delta 8 in most places, but it's also apparently Delta 6. And that was her thing, like, oh yeah, we can totally arrest people for that. And my question again is, why haven't you? Because I'm pretty sure you know that would be an iffy court case if it's ever happened. It probably would have been, no, this isn't Delta 6, this is Delta 8. And try to have fun explaining to a jury. It probably wouldn't be a judge trial, but try to have fun explaining to a jury that that Delta 8 and Delta 6 are the same thing, and what the analog act is. But so this would make it the total weight. As far as growing goes, 1213 is kind of the one where there's going to be a big problem, which I should have pulled up already. Yeah, conference committee in Senate. So quarterback placed on calendar, amendment adopted. So it's in Senate now. So it will be voted on shortly. And it would basically create an act, relating to medical marijuana, to provide a legislative management report, and to provide a penalty, and to declare an emergency. Again, it's these emergency declarations. Oh, I didn't have it up. It's the emergency declarations that basically make it happen right away. So it's not like they think that people are dying. Although there was one of the things that she had basically said was that people were, there was 2 cases at the state lab of DUIs with Delta 8, and that's the emergency. It's a health emergency that these 2 people were driving under the influence. Which, if I were to ask how many of those cases had other drugs, she had mentioned that it wasn't just Delta 8. So I don't know how much you want to call that an emergency. Okay. But on top of that, how many of those cases at that exact same time, how many did they test already that had controlled substances from prescription drugs in their system, alcohol, anything? I'm sure that there's more than 2 of those cases in the state lab right now. So yeah, the emergency is basically anytime that it mentions drugs, essentially, they go for the emergency thing. It's a way to get things through fast, and to have it go into effect right away. I don't know why it has to be an emergency. Maybe just give them till August. It would have been a lot better, but that's apparently not the case. So growing right now is illegal, but and producing it, because you do need to produce it after you grow it. But right now, possession is, just thinking about it, is not illegal, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not saying that that's the case. If somebody has another argument to it, they're probably right. But I'm under the impression that no, it is not illegal to possess. It's probably illegal to sell, because this bill basically means the whether growing or not with total cannabis. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe it is. Also, the other thing about it is, again, I'm sorry, I'm not like totally scripted out here and everything like that, but that this is the part that my main pressure point would have been. The Farm Bill is a federal law, and determined by the commissioner. Obviously, the ag commissioner wouldn't go past 0.3%, but that's kind of anxiety-inducing here. Yeah. Oh, sweet deal. Anthony came on. Hey.
Yay!
Hey. Welcome
Yeah,
to the
sorry
completely...
about
No, you're all good. I don't have the camera on. There we go.
I just got home, and then I was telling you a couple days ago how I switched to Microsoft Authenticator or whatever. So like everything has been signed out. I didn't even see my Discord for like 2 days.
Yeah, I know my work is making us go through 2-factor now, and yeah. Also a huge announcement. I mean, this isn't 100% or anything, but I will probably not be working from home end of next month, so Canna-Talks may go out a day later. I'm not 100% sure. The production workflow is very smooth and down correctly. It's just a matter of when I get into this room of how fast I can turn it around. I'm going to try for the same day, Fridays, with the episode going live Friday morning, because I do need to have, like, I think 12 hours in between it going on their platforms to YouTube. But, yeah, that's a technicality. Yeah. So, Delta 8 is now, well, not illegal yet. It hasn't been sent to Secretary of State, but it was signed apparently on the 23rd. So,
Oh fuck!
Yeah, so Jody had posted about it. I didn't see anything on it. I was looking on the website. I was looking anything on news. I said, I don't think that's correct. Reached out to her. Gotta say sorry for that. I mean, it wasn't anything mean or anything. We were just talking, but yeah. She was right. I think when it was posted, it was Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure the decision had already been made. So, Yeah, it was signed on the
It
23rd.
just begs the question as to why, when we've already come as close as we have to legalization.
Right.
What the fuck is the point?
Another thing that I found hilarious was North Dakota 1420. I think this is the one that I looked it up. If you go to like the news section of House Bill 1420 or North Dakota 1420, this is the button. Where was it? North Dakota could give the green light for recreational. North Dakota Senate looks to turn over new leaf on recreational marijuana. Yeah, I don't know about
Fucking
that.
clearly.
They definitely turned it over. Yeah, so this is when they were talking about it. I mean, Jason Doctor, he was always kind of under the impression of like, look, I don't smoke, nothing like that. We actually had him on. So if you want to watch that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and scroll down to the Jason Doctor episode. But yeah, so like he was basically like, look, we got to get ahead of this. Obviously, people wanted legalization, and yeah. And we sit in a state where basically everywhere you go will have legal cannabis by the end of the year, including up Canada. That's not a state though; it's a country, but still.
Close enough. The big state.
Right? That's basically what I see Canada as. It's just a big state with a different like person running it. But yeah. So basically the way that I'm reading this, I thought when I first like came on, I thought this was a that's the reason why I titled it. I thought it was like growing, producing. But the way that it says is any part of the plant, including seeds and derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, blah, 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 whether growing or not. And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I also have to make sure my background. Yeah. Yeah, so whether growing or not with a total tetrahydrocannabinol of these three. So 3%, or 0.3%. God, I wish 3%. 0.3% of all of these. So, yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is I have about this much left to smoke. Actually, I think I have a little
Get it while the
more.
getting is good, man. Shit.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun at work. So like when I heard that this happened, I had already placed an order with my buddy that I usually get kratom from, like, because he was trying to get rid of it himself. So I was like, "Yo, like, give me a good discount on this." But yeah, got a good discount on it.
Deal's a deal, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'd known him for a while, so obviously he was gonna give me a discount either way. But yeah. So 0.3% Delta 8 will do absolutely nothing to you. But I don't know. The other issue that I have with it is a lot of people, with the way that even legislators had first of all, it was hilarious that what's her face? Maybe we should watch that part. The way that she described it is hilarious. Myrdal. Yeah, Myrdal had described it as drug addicts are the reason why Delta 8 exists. It was all the drug addicts. So why don't I do that? Once I have a new tab. Oh, I can't play it to you, huh? Shit. Well.
So you can go ahead and play it, and you can just send me the link, and I can catch it after this.
Yeah. Here. Copy link address. I'm doing Skype window. That's the link to it. That's actually directly to the actual video clip. Oh, what is that show? Fuck.
Oh, Schitt's Creek.
Yes, that's the one. It sounded
My
super
wife
familiar.
is
I was like, yeah, no, I
wife
pretty
is
much
obsessed with it.
I pretty much texted or messaged him like, "Yo, I'm going live right now." this was definitely like way not planned. But I think it's also a little bit fun too. Totally
And what part am I
unplanned.
watching this?
So it was the Myrdal 1045. It's the 90517. Oh, I have it all set. Okay, cool. So if I just click this one,
Senator
I think this
Myrdal.
is her describing it.
Well, again, Mr. President, this bill started
90517,
out with the
is
same
that what you said?
intent.
Yeah. This part right here that's on screen. Output capture. Oh, also another thing. I really fucking hate the North Dakota legislative website. They use something called HLS, which is a more protected form of a YouTube. So like you can't just rip shit off of their website. And I realized this after about 3 hours of trying to download this episode or this hearing, like every single hearing about it. So I was gonna like cut together a clip thing of them slowly losing context every single time. Like that's another thing I gotta point out. The way that this progressed was like, it's an emergency. And then it goes, yeah, we're just kind of redefining things. And then it goes, yeah, so like we just want to make sure that everything, it's totally like we already can get people in trouble for this. We haven't, but we totally can. And it's totally a thing that we'll do. We're just trying to make it clear to people. To drug addicts are the reason why CBD is failing, blah, blah, blah. You should pass this. It's an emergency, by the way. That's pretty much the context. The entire thing, from start to finish, was full context to absolutely no context of what it is or how it works or anything like that. She even made the joke of, I'm not going to tell you because, you guys might try type of a thing. Like, okay. Oh, another thing that was mentioned, there's apparently some legislators that know people that use it. That was told in a hearing. Let's see, do I have playthrough back? Okay.
That it has now, which is to encourage hemp production in our state. Now it just has some specific clarifications from the crime lab, and it's supported by law enforcement, the crime lab, and the ag industry, and so we ask for unanimous vote aye on it again.
So that was the final passage. And then the one right above it, 903, is her describing.
Mr. President, it's fun to say that, by the way. So House Bill 1045 passed this chamber unanimously last time it went through. It deals with the hemp industry, and though the amendments seem to be pretty substantial, the reasons behind the amendment was a request from the state crime lab. Apparently, people who struggle with addictions are quite creative, and there were several reports of using THC in hemp product, cooking it up. I'm not going to explain it here because I don't want anybody to try and do it, but during committee we heard some scary reports, so basically...
The scary reports, by the way, I cannot find. There was absolutely no report of anybody like walking in there and being like, yo, this is how you make it. This is how I do it. This is the product. None of that happened. All of it was basically, there was two cases at the state lab where they found it in the bloodstream, and they can't figure out if that was the leading cause of the DUI arrest or whatever action that they were doing, and or if it was like the alcohol or something like that. It wasn't the only one, and that was one thing that she definitely mentioned. Another thing is the state lab, the person that went to the hearings was very knowledgeable. So huge shout out to her, just because like she didn't blow anything out of proportion. She just basically explained it, both sides, didn't really like, scare people into everything, which is a huge thing. But that's what this is. Her saying, some people who struggle with addiction, she means drug addicts, were using it to get high, essentially, is what she's saying. and using scary and being like, we heard all these scary stories. That's like literally not the case. Most of the Delta 8 was obviously not produced in North Dakota. There are some people, I think, that were producing it, but it was mostly out of state stuff, mostly CBD companies that are usually ahead of the curve by a lot. But another thing that the most scary part about this is they see, and the way that it was been painted is like it's a fake drug. It's a natural drug. It's just concentrated and converted in a different way. So the thing that I'm afraid the most of is that people will be like, well, I did this fake Delta 8 stuff, so why don't I try some of this synthetic cannabinoid? And the synthetic cannabinoids that we have in today that's legal are really dangerous. Some of them are like heart attack. I think it was heart attack inducing. I'm not sure, but like too much of it. Whereas with the old synthetic stuff like JWH018, which is my one when I was using Spice, that one was if you had too much of it, you just had like a psychotic break, which wasn't fun, I tell you that, but it's not you're gonna die. But I remember there was one cannabinoid, C something. They all just are letters and number combinations, and that's just basically whatever. Those were like could give you a heart attack or could like harm you in some sort of way. So don't use synthetic cannabinoids unless unless you're researching, like what you're doing. It's not, when I say know what you're doing, I mean like you're in a lab, which none of you guys are, so don't. But yeah, the way that she kind of said
A request from the state crime lab. Apparently,
she meant attorney generals.
people who struggle with addictions are quite creative, and there were several reports of using THC.
Another thing I gotta say is, with how easy it is to make, first of all, I'm pretty sure if a cop walked in and they saw a bottle of acetic acid and sulfuric acid, they're not going to think, oh, this person's making Delta 8. If they're being creative, you're probably not buying it at a store if you're being creative. But this isn't going to stop anyone, is what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's just not going to be as easily accessible, which could possibly be more dangerous, and we've made things worse. Congratulations to us. Yeah.
In hemp product, cooking it up. I'm not going to explain it here because I don't want anybody to try and do it, but during committee we heard some scary reports. So basically the main amendments, Mr. President, is the total THC, meaning when the commissioner has authority to charge for industrial hemp testing, there had to be a total THC instead of just an open thing. So it's very complicated, but basically
it's not really complicated. That's the explanation right there. That was pretty much the explanation of this. Oh, I didn't have it up. So the thing that also kind of worries me, and this was, I think, the pressure point that would have worked the best, was the wording where it comes to the commissioner having the authority, the total concentration under his chapter, to not exceed Federal Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018. So this kind of sets a trap. Obviously, like, it's going to be not exceed, but they even were talking about how the Farm Bill may be amended or may pass a different version, probably with the Delta 8 thing involved in it. But yeah, so like, if there's a change here, this law has to repass, which is kind of stupid. You should have just kept it at 0.3. And then when with the Farm Bill, with any federal agriculture improvement regarding hemp, would have been a good wording for that. Yeah. So essentially, it's you can't possess it, you can't sell it, you can't grow it, but um, you can have some of it. And I don't think a cop is gonna pull out a full test just to send it off to a lab to figure out how much THC Delta 8 is in it, unless it just says it on the bag. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I got here.
I mean, I'm sure we could find a couple other things to talk about too if you wanted.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, that's just incredible. We were so close. Just measure 3 alone.
Measure 3, I think 1420 was probably even closer. Like, Measure 3 was very close. But like in today's time. Oh, here's one. Here's one. This is one. This is gonna piss everybody off. There is a really, really stupid a stupid petition circulating, which is gonna be very bad if passed,
Oh yeah.
like always. So this is the petition. I don't know what they're calling themselves. What is their thing called? Tell me what you guys want to call yourself. I don't know what you guys are calling themselves. Essentially, what this means. Any uh any petition that reaches the ballot has to have 60% to pass. So not the simple majority. And if you guys remember, Nebraska, for instance, has a single subject law, which means that your petition can only have a single subject. This was abused in a way of saying, well, you guys are talking about cannabis. That is one subject. I agree with you on that. But you're talking about grow, you're talking about possession, you're talking about sale. So, not single subject. This is what that is. It's a single subject petition, and would require an affirmative vote of at least 60% of the votes by the electors. So if passed, what this would mean is any petition, constitutional petition only, would have to have a single subject. So, for instance, North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act would probably have to go down to either going a statutory, or they would have to do just the grow or just the sale. I think right now as it stands,
Couldn't that
they
be like gone over?
Hmm?
Because like I get like it's the single subject, and
Yeah.
that's what they're knocking around with in South Dakota. But
Yeah,
could
South
you?
Dakota's also using it.
Yeah, and it's like, couldn't you push for the not decriminalization, but the descheduling of cannabis, or like the removal of cannabis
Yes.
or whatever? And that would be like basically it opens the door wide open, and it kind of leaves the legislation with a whole shit pile on their lap to have to get through to try and regulate it and tax it.
So it would basically make the legislative body figure out that 1420 was a better option to pass in the first place. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what that would do. I don't know. The thing is this has been attempted over and over again, specifically constitutional amendments. I'm sure we'll have multiple legislators backing it. It'll be really, really funny because if this makes a ballot, they don't need 60%. They don't need the 60% of a thing that they're trying to do. Obviously, they can't like be like, no, we want it. There's no reason for it, but yeah. So this was a submitted on the 13th, and date of circulation is the 22nd, so 4 days ago. And yeah. Another thing. Okay. My biggest issue with a lot of things in North Dakota happening. Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, this was out there. I mean, this got a lot of coverage, but North Dakota 1420. And again, I guess I didn't finish reading this email, but essentially it was basically saying, an amount determined by the commissioner, piece of federal law, um, which would further make possession of Delta 8 illegal, which is the 1213. Yeah, I tried, never got it. It's whatever, it happens. But yeah, yeah. I DM'd on Twitter, which is how I usually did. Emailed both of the reporters. I know one of them, I think it was the Angel guy. He also works with Marijuana Daily, I want to say, or something like that. Yeah. It's whatever. But yeah, this is a bad one. Hopefully. Also, another thing I really gotta say is, who in the right fucking mind is like, you know what? It'd be a great idea. Let's dump a shitload of money into this petition and make it the hardest experience ever to pass.
For
Why
which one?
don't you this measure? Essentially, the way that it's going is, if they want to be in the primary, prior to midnight, 1 year from the circulation, April 22nd, prior to midnight, February 14th, for the primary election and for this election. With the way that ND Freedom of Cannabis Act is, which we can very obviously see that this is an attempt at stopping ND Freedom of Cannabis Act, they would need to hit that primary. So they would need to have their 26,000 by this day. This is what the way that it's looking at. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it'd be during general. It probably would be a better idea to be in the general, but yeah. Oh, I didn't even have it up. I'm sorry. So these are the deadlines for them. 1 year from date of petition, that's April 22nd. In order to get into the, this is 2022, by the way. In order to get into the primary, June 14th primary, February 14th is when they have to be in, or April 22nd. So they have a while, but yeah, they kind of, hopefully by the beginning of 2022, it's a little bit less COVID-y. But yeah. Let's see. Oh, there was a lot of talk about the farming or the cannabis banking bill, but it's been pushed off. I'm trying to think. There was also another 1 in 10 Americans want marijuana totally legal. This is a poll done by PolitiFact, I want to say. Oh, Ipsos, a Paris-based market research firm, released on 420. Funny
Of
enough.
course.
Right. Taxes for cannabis sales will help improve neighborhoods. It's almost down the middle. These are like the very common ones, but legalization benefits the rich more than the poor. There's a lot of people who are like middle class that ended up being rich. But it's definitely not a Canada market type of thing where just making hand over fist. Cannabis will lead people to use more addictive drugs. 33%. So that number is way down. And there will be/is more crime near cannabis dispensaries, 26%. Yeah. And then they did Democrats, Independents, and Republicans breakdown. So maybe I should make this bigger, huh? There we go. So all Americans, so that's both of them. It's more Democrats than Republicans that believe in legalization for recreational. And there's an odd amount of independents in this study, but that was one of the things I feel like they probably didn't ask that near. A thing that I really wish that a lot of these polls release is what the actual questions were. They only just kind of have the findings, kind of how they did it, but they didn't really show like what was in it. But okay, so they did that. I used to work in market research, so whenever I see like you guys did a research study, I did work as like a recruiter for market. But okay, I was red for a minute. So 1 in 10 believe in legalization. I thought I heard it was 1 in 6, but whatever. It was that one. I want to find the states
that
one.
statistic is thrown around so much, I don't think anybody really knows what it actually is.
Right.
I would definitely say the 2 out of 3. For medical at least, that sounds believable.
Right. Minnesota marijuana legalization bill clears its 8th committee. I think it has 12 in total. I'm pretty sure they wanted every single committee to have it. But 21 and older, 1.5 ounces, up to 8 plants, 4 of which could be mature, which is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how many more they have to go. Full vote anticipated in May. Okay, so we're not that far away. Yeah, this will be out in May. I wish, yeah, went through all of these committees by the end of April, which is now. Maybe Minnesota will go legal next, and me living in Grand Forks, I will momentarily move to Minnesota for a little bit. Or, just use the address.
Is that a thing where you
have
can
to
have
have an
like
ID.
multi-state? I mean, like where you can have
No.
multi-state residents? That's not a thing?
No, but you can. It depends on how long you spend in each state. So if you spend more than 6 months in like North Dakota, then you're a North Dakota resident.
Mm.
So, like snowbirds and stuff like that, when they go to Arizona, they have a North Dakota driver's license, unless they spend more than 6 months in Arizona. But yeah, so you have to have an ID, I think, in the state to purchase. Probably is how that's gonna work. So yeah, sadly, wouldn't work for me. Definitely, yeah. Just possibly could be looking for a house is what I'm saying.
Mm.
And live pretty close to Minnesota. There was a banking bill. What I'm trying to figure out that banking bill. Maybe this was it. It's floating strategy to pass marijuana in the Senate. Oh, this is just standalone legalization. Again, I didn't do much like research into this. I literally ran in here and pressed start stream. Actually, I think I did about 5 minutes worth of work of pulling up tabs. Trying to find.
Yeah, that tripped me out, dude. I didn't even realize like how late it had gotten to, and I just sat down on the couch with Beth, and she was getting into her show again. And then I
Sorry.
finally picked up my phone, looked at your message, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah. Well, like we had planned it, but then I was like, I'm just gonna, because like I had good news, and I was just gonna chill and be happy. And then I go on Facebook and fucking see a post that completely just rashed me right down. House of Representatives, this is April 19th. Yep, okay, this is the one I was probably thinking about. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. I think this is the States Act, right? This one? Safe Act. That's what it was. I knew it started with an S. So this would basically make it so that banking for marijuana businesses would be regulated in a way of them not saying get the fuck out. But there's also, I remember reporting on this a while back ago, but there was a regulatory agency about banking that had basically said that you guys still can't do this, but we're recommending you don't for banks and marijuana businesses. And yeah, they did nothing about that. But it would basically make it so marijuana businesses or cannabis businesses would be able to have access to banks and would be able to do credit card transactions and all of that stuff. There are credit card processing agencies that do process cannabis charges, usually at very excessive prices,
Of course.
like extremely excessive prices. Wow, I pressed the wrong button. We had thought about, or I had thought about using one at one point. Until they wanted, I think, like 3.7% or something insane like that. But yeah, it's essentially the problem with banking is it's a high risk scenario because you technically don't really know if the paperwork and the business is actually legitimate and will continue to be legitimate on a month to month or deposit to deposit basis. So if you end up serving a customer that is running just drug dealing in plain view type of thing, they would be a little bit liable for that, and that's the reason why. So this would probably make it a little bit easier for them. I remember covering a lot about it. I just cannot for the life of me think about it. What is in the Safe Banking Act? I just want the bullet points, please. Provisions. Thanks. Thanks for this empty section, Wikipedia. Just wonderful coverage. Wow. Oh, the Safe Banking Act provisions were included in the HEROES Act. That was the one that made it, even during an emergency, that they could continue to stay open. Were pushed for the Safe Banking Act provisions at the end of the year COVID-19 failed through hope that remained that it would pass in 2021. Was reintroduced.
So is that where we're sitting at now? Is the reintroduction?
Yeah, but I remember it got pushed off because they were talking about it like it's gonna go like in the next month and a half, and
Yeah, Schumer. He's majority leader right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just watched a video the other day. He was saying that he had cannabis legislation that was going to be up soon, and
I
we all know
remember
what
him
that means.
saying. I remember him saying that like
It's like a
when he
month
was.
ago.
Yeah, but I remember there's also a grand website of them being like, "Yep, we're gonna cover the Safe Act." Or maybe it was the States Act. It was one of the banking bills, and it just never got there. Um, can I just get the bullet points of kind of what it does? I'm not saying the exact wording. Spoken opposition. Yeah, I don't know. It would help law enforcement root out illegal transactions, prevent tax evasion, money laundering, and other white-collar crime. Reduce the risk of violent crime in our communities. Yeah, maybe, having a couple $1,000s in cash because of the day's business is probably not the best idea. I don't know. It's an idea. Then again, the risk of violent crime in our communities has nothing to do with cannabis. It's just literally the fact that they don't have access to banking. Um, yeah. I don't know. I think I'll find more stuff about this probably. Um, initial voice for vote. Members pass legislation by final recorded vote. Oh, it passed House. Approves. Wow, I'm literally sitting here reading like, oh yeah, it's gonna be on. It's gonna, be voted on in the House. Approves House. Um, GovTrack. Yeah, I think GovTrack will have it. Safe Banking Act. You wanna? Safe Banking Act 2021. Senate. S 910. Introduced March 23rd. Still gotta go through committee. 18% chance of being enacted. But then again, Scopos is really, really good at everything but, like when it comes to a very public statement situation, like there's a lot of statements, they're really good, but when there's barely any statements, they're really that great at. Yeah, I don't know.
So you're saying there's hope?
Yes, there's some hope. Yeah, I don't know. What else is there?
As we're talking, I could be looking as well, but
Washington State is set to less criminalize possession. Oh, drug possession just in general. I was about to say, isn't Washington like legal now?
There was another site that I came across that had some good stuffs to talk about. Like everything cannabis related up until the last election where it was just like one after another.
Right.
It's like there's just been nothing news wise. It's all like, why does weed intimidate me so much? Weed is now legal in New York except for Japanese citizens? Question mark. Like it's just
Yeah. I don't know. Don't expect Senate marijuana banking vote anytime soon. Key Chairman says. Yeah. This is what I was talking about. I don't know who in like who what pundit was like. I mean, winning back Senate was pretty good, but who was like, split down the middle is gonna work perfectly fine. Everything's gonna be just fine. Um, I don't know who thought of that was a good one. Not a good take.
Ooh, okay. So we're kind of doing this on the fly here.
Yeah.
So
Where
let me
That would put it somewhere. I'm
send
gonna
you
take
this
some
link so you
kratom.
see what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Hey there, Beauteous.
I'm gonna take some kratom while I do this, because this
You
is
need
a
what?
total professional production. Super professional. Like, high end.
I'm gonna remember to mute that.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute for a second. Again, we are... Okay, so like usually we do have like a set bullet point list. And I have all the tabs up. Like, we don't have it scripted, but we do have like the main points. And yeah, we don't have that right now. So, I don't know. If you guys like this type of a thing, maybe less dead air, let me know. Because I can do this every day if I had to. But
Well, like just kind of winging it. It's better because then you get genuine reaction of what's going on as well.
yeah, there was one episode that I remember we did was like super good. Like, I was actually really happy about that one, and it was totally winged. I don't know, I just feel like, okay, if I have the bullet points, I'm more like on topic and can form like a lot of the political takes I have are usually thought up in advance. Like, I know both sides type of an argument type of a deal, and I know like which one and what my view is. This, I'm just kind of like, well, this is the information I have in front of me, so I wonder if this is a situation. I wonder if anybody's thought of that point. All right, where's
When
that
I
story?
talk a lot less, I've
Oh, you
noticed.
send it
Like
through
if it,
Discord.
yeah, if it's scripted, I talk a lot less because it's like, as you said, you have things that you had already thought out in advance.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good day to be a cannabis user in Philadelphia,
Hold on.
as it.
Their ad blocker totally ripped my ass a new one. There we go.
Boy. As it may soon be illegal within city limits of Philadelphia for some employees to undergo mandatory pre-employment drug testing or screening for cannabis use. So,
Just real quick.
yeah,
So
I
this
have no
test
idea
right
what's going
here.
on there. Yeah,
So this test is actually an aquarium test for saltwater.
that's what I was thinking. I was just like, that looks like a aquatics test.
Yeah. They do use this for urine, but this exact strip, I've seen this exact fucking strip before for saltwater tanks.
Right.
Um,
So, again, like I haven't gone through this yet, but as like right there, well, you got it up. Prohibits employers from bill number 200625 now officially prohibits employers from requiring prospective employees to undergo testing for the presence of marijuana as a condition of employment.
so I wonder what it looks like with like a DOT job though. Because I
I think
know
that's
that's one
federally.
major one.
I'm pretty sure DOT is federally mandated.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So I was gonna say, like, that's the main one, is like a lot of that's what most of the arguments are for like drug testing in just general, as well. It's required for the DOT, or if you're aw, if you're like a heart surgeon or something like that, they probably want to at least know, like, even if it's a medicinal use, they want to at least know that for insurance purposes. Most of the times they can't even hire because of that. But I think mandatory pre-employment drug screening is pretty much the biggest bullshit idea in the entire world. Like, it's one thing to do background checks. I can understand that your insurance provider for your business probably wants to minimize, especially if you have like a theft coverage or something like that. they want to minimize the risk to the business of having to pay out that insurance policy. But yeah, drug screening, just because, again, because, oh, you just brought up another one for me. So the drug testing in a job is, with weed, it's cannabis, it's 30 days. So if you're a constant smoker, if you just smoked like once, in a blue moon, it's like 14 days. But that's not to say like, hey, this person lost their job, now they can't look for a job, at least in, a better pay and a better job type of a scenario after they lost their job for like a whole month and they can't smoke on top of that. That sounds like literally the worst idea in the world. Like, would not want to go through that.
Okay, I was actually just going on this thing. Now, I can't directly say my employer, like I can't say like who it is. I mean, I think we all know, but I can't say it in this sense. Otherwise, I violate our policy.
Right.
But my employer, I actually just submitted this question, and it was completely like nobody even uttered a word in response. It was basically like me asking this question into the void. With legalization basically on the doorstep of every state, it's just a matter of whether it's going to be sooner or later.
Right.
The vast majority of drugs, I mean, okay, maybe like prescription painkiller abuse or something like that, but the vast majority of drugs that would present a problem for us are all things that are relatively quick out of the system. Okay?
Yep.
So we have been short-staffed for a couple months, few months now. I mean, again, how many times have I missed this? Because, I'm working either like 4 to midnight one night and then like the next morning being in at like 8:30 and whatever. Like it's a disaster staffing wise. And nobody would answer me the question of why we're bothering with pre-employment drug testing. I can understand, you take a fall or something like that. Yeah. But pre-employment drug testing, especially when we're so short-staffed, is literally just taking away the opportunity. It's basically singling out cannabis users.
It does.
Yeah.
And
Jesus fucking Christ, it does.
And what's fucked up about that to me is the vast majority of cannabis users that I know do not smoke on the job. They don't present a risk. They are not a liability directly. And it's
unless it's like a fast food job.
Yeah, but then come on.
Yeah. What you're gonna do, like fuck up the fries? Come on.
But that's my thing is like,
yeah.
We're basically with pre-employment drug testing, it's essentially singling out for the vast majority of it cannabis users. Yeah. And it's ridiculous to me that cannabis poses so little of a threat. And it's like some of the best workers that I've worked with or worked under me go home and smoke a joint. Like that was their
most of them are they're a lot more like, I don't want to say appreciative, but they're a lot more like,
they're humble,
motivated. Yeah. And humble. They're a lot more motivated too, just because like they know no matter how shitty of a day it may be, and alcoholics look at it this way too, no matter how shitty of a day it can be, they can get home and just relax. And
hey, is that window open?
If it's their, choice, whatever they're choosing, that's what they're gonna go with. But another thing that North Dakota is doing, and I think this is 1213, is this one. This is what that reminded me of. I think this is the mouth swab test. A medical bill has turned into literally just anything to do with cannabis. We are going to try to attempt to fuck up and or fix.
Can you control F in a PDF?
I can. I believe. I think I need to use. Let's find out.
Oh, yeah, it says find in page.
Well, yeah.
See it.
So live. Yeah.
Dude, I do this shit like with everything. Like if I need to find anything, PDF, webpage, any document whatsoever, Control F that shit. I don't take the time to scroll through for anything. It's just like
So what
every
this does is, and this is where I find an issue right here. So let's make it bigger because I can't really read too easily off here. Individual, blah blah blah. Basically, you get pulled over. Can be subject to the provisions of this chapter for a blood, breath, oral fluid, or a urine test. It does not get rid of the urine test. That's an issue because I don't want to say cops are out to just throw tickets around and get people to go into court just to like have a bigger dick than the other officers. I don't know why. Whatever. If you were a cop and you wanted to get people, maybe the person that you pulled over is being a complete dick about it or whatever. If you were a cop and you had a choice between a urine test or a oral fluid test, and an oral fluid test has a much shorter detection window than a urine test, which are you gonna pick?
I would pick the oral test.
Well, the oral test would have been.
No, I mixed that up. Yeah.
Yeah, the urine test is
you're
going to be
trying
30
to find
days.
something.
Yeah.
And like, let's be real here. I'm not anti-law enforcement.
No.
I never have been. I think the whole thin blue line and the whole back of blue crowd and whatever, like, if you like the taste of leather, keep licking those fucking boots. Do you do? But I understand that they have a job to do, and I respect the job that they have to do. But the majority of policing today exceeds the purpose and the validity of what police are supposed to be in our community.
And I think the best description is of like what's been explained with like what's it called, like not mandatory, but like the amount of tickets you have to write out in a month type
quota.
of thing. Quota. Those aren't real. Quotas aren't real. But what it ends up being is, if you end up being the least writing ticket officer just on patrol, you're just not going to get that many hours, and they do work hourly. I mean, if you're like a detective or whatever, it's probably something else, but if you're on patrol and you don't write the most amount of speeding tickets, for instance, you're going to get a lot less hours. That's essentially how it works.
Yep.
The
quotas don't exist except in how they do.
Yeah. But yeah, so this would make it so that blood, breath, or oral fluid or urine test can be done. If they believe that you are under the under the influence of alcohol or presence of other drugs, or a combination thereof. So like the question I have here is when it comes to other drugs or combination thereof, is what are all the excuses that they're going to use for cannabis? Because I remember mine was a green tongue.
Oh God, yeah.
They actually, the funny thing is when I was serving is when like that got like overturned and I just couldn't do anything about it because I pled out. So it's like not like I can fight it now. But yeah.
But no, my wife actually gave me a like perfect term: tailpipe chasing. Especially around where we live, you'll notice that like specific things will get you attention.
Yep.
And like anything, your car could be in perfect shape, all lights fine, whatever, and you could just be driving down the road, and you'll have an officer right on your fucking tail. And if they see a little thing like a fucking air freshener dangling in the window, pull you over.
Yep,
And that's what kills me is a lot of people don't understand. If you're like, if you get stopped and the cop says, "Hey, can I search your vehicle?" Fuck no.
Right.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. But so many people, like more so than not, are like, "Well, I don't have anything to hide, so yeah, You do you. And it's like they're looking for something to stop you to open the window to find something incriminating. And it's like I understand if police today were acting the way that they're supposed to, like within the bounds that they should and like within their profession, like if they were keeping it professional and legit, it wouldn't be that way, you know, but like they find things and it's like whatever they can get, they will get, and they will push the boundaries to get as much as they can.
I know one thing that they go with is like, you know, I smell cannabis. Another one is if the car is messy. That's a thing. Air freshener in the rear view. If you have anything on the, you know, like the back window, I don't know what to call this part. The one that's over the trunk, this part.
I just call it the rear dash.
Yeah, rear dash, sure. Anything there, because that's obstructing your view. And I did also look it up because I was very curious, like, why so many states, and well, just why it's illegal in the first place, an air freshener hanging from your rear view. The reasoning is, you know, when you were a baby and you had those keys.
I read this article.
They yeah, and they like dangled it in front of you. So apparently that has conditioned you to when you're driving and something is swinging back and forth, people believe that all your attention is only to looking at that shiny thing, like doing this in front of you. That you're not going to be paying attention to the road.
You know, I'll see if I can find it. But at the other
I remember I
part
said
to that article.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but okay.
Well, like the one that I read, it was basically saying that as an infant, like one thing that we know about infants is object impermanence.
Yep, I think that was a technical term for it.
And it's like basically what it is when you're looking at a baby and you do this, in that baby's mind, that object is gone. Like just fucking up here is gone. And they're saying that basically it's our brain's interpretation of object impermanence, even though they've proven time and time again that in like common sense things like that you grow out of.
Yeah, like pretty sure if you're conditioned into thinking that way, you can be conditioned into not thinking that way.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like behind it, but I honestly, it's also really weird that they get rid of saliva in this and go for oral fluid. I don't know what other fluids are in your mouth but saliva. But if you have something else in your mouth but saliva, I mean, I guess you have the skin cells, the epithelial skin cells in your mouth. But it's really weird that they had to do this, but oral swabs are actually much better if you're ever given the detection.
Ooh, sidetrack. Anybody who does see this, implied consent. Okay? When you get your driver's license, you sign a thing, or like part of what you're signing has a little clause in there that says you give implied consent that if you're stopped, that you must submit to testing, otherwise you agree to repercussions. Okay?
Right. Field
sobriety tests are not part of implied consent. You do not have to consent to those. You cannot be persecuted for it. And like, if it's one of those things where if they say, well, fine, you're refusing and they arrest you, I can sure as fuck drop a bad arrest. You know? But you cannot refuse the chemical test. At least in North Dakota, you have implied consent to, you have to do the breathalyzer, or if they want to take you to get your blood or whatever, you have to comply with that.
Right.
So don't bother fighting that. But if they try and get you out to fucking stumble around in front of a camera.
Yeah, that one, I remember that's not something that you can fully say no to. And by the way, those are not, they do have scientific names, but they are behind absolutely no law, no like science whatsoever. Just give me the breakdown. Jesus Christ, oral fluids. Up to 24 hours. No, that's 3 days. I just want to find a thing that shows, nice, like, little.
2021, man. Keep it simple.
Right?
Okay, well, while he's finding that information, on Friday, lawmakers in Montana, in the Montana Senate, I can't speak apparently, passed a
Sounded to
bill
me.
establishing a framework for the nascent program, including a provision that would reserve tax revenue from sales for addiction treatment and statewide conservation efforts.
What? Okay, send me that link. Oh, I can put it up on screen.
Yep.
I don't know.
Essentially, essentially it's a step closer in their legalization process. So I just wanted to share that. I was flipping through High Times, and I saw that, and it's like, that's good news.
Right.
Montana, of all places, is making bigger steps than North Dakota, either of the Dakotas.
I know. So, like, what I really actually see happening is, it really depends on how Anti-Framing Cannabis Act works and how all that is. It's gonna,
I still think they need to just fucking throw in the towel, man. They're not doing
yeah.
legalization any justice anymore.
I think it's a matter of if you get the signatures of when that could possibly be, like, figured out. For right now, it's just the signatures, and the problem is I don't know what the idea is after the signatures, but that's just as hard.
Well, and that's the problem. And one of the biggest things that we faced was there was no, and then,
But
you
I
know,
think the thing it would be is that if that doesn't pass, I think it will probably be next legislative session, because 1420 got really close.
hmm
Um,
but I think if NDCC, if they move any closer, I think it's going to put the pressure on the legislation to the legislation to.
that's the reason why I think it's not a lost cause by any means, but if it doesn't make signatures, it probably will have a little bit less of a push. But at the same time, as much as I really do hate mentioning them, despite what people believe, if Legalize ND starts up in 2022 and continues on with pressure, that would actually probably push it over the edge.
Oh yeah, and again, I know
both sides have to continue to apply pressure, because that's basically the reason why it passed the House. Was the way, I think, what was the way that he turned it? It's going to happen anyway, and we might as well get ahead of it, or something like that.
Yep.
That's pretty easy to come to the agreement that was the reason why. But I think also at the same time, with this deal here,
yeah,
if whoever is, got, I guess I'm gonna also be the one that says this too. If anybody comes up to you and says, sign my measure for requiring a 60% majority and a one subject law, take a look at Nebraska, South Dakota. Pretty much almost every single time that a measure has been shot out of a ballot or shot out of a petition just circulating in general is because of the single subject law and the single subject rules. It's a stupid idea. I get the reason why, like, you shouldn't, like, change the entire everything and just, be the deciding factor for all of it type of a deal. But yeah, that's a serious threat, and hopefully things are pushed hard on, and I hope that they don't get their signatures. Fuck them.
Yeah, seriously. And I wanted to preface what I was saying with, like, I know you try to stay more neutral. I'm a little more opinionated, I guess.
I'm opinionated. Come on now.
But I mean, like, specifically when it comes to, like, the groups or whatever, and, like, I say preface it because it's like I genuinely don't say anything out of upset or pettiness or anything like that. It's just from my personal experiences between both of them. it's just gotten to a point where it's just like I'm starting to see the constitutional push as just like just stop. You
Wow.
know, if you're going to do something, start getting people at the Capitol working with legislation instead of pushing this whole fuck the man.
Well, they did try during 1420. They did try.
Yeah, but to what extent?
And I do gotta say, the first hearing, while maybe some of the sourcing and maybe some of the facts and everything like that was a little bit odd of just talking about like morality and then having a source for morality.
Hmm.
Um, if that was applied to like a source for legalization facts and everything like that, not just the morality behind it, uh, that would have been a pretty good argument to also just do in public in general.
Hmm.
Like literally, here's why type of a thing. Um, because yeah, that's kind of the thing is like a lot of people when they hear I want to change this or I want to do that, a lot of people want to know if they have bad or good intentions.
Hmm.
And staying quiet, and I think this is also another mistake when I was even also involved, is the whole staying quiet thing kind of made it sound like a bad intention. I
Yep.
think the best way that was really displayed at the best was, I forgot what the name of the petition was or what the fuck it even did, but the one last year where it was just basically, God, what was it? Voter access. I remember something to do with voter, but it was like the most broad like sentence in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like, we want voter access. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. You found like they made a whole ass website that didn't explain anything.
Yeah, I wonder if I still have it. Um, Voters first, I'm guessing.
That
Yeah,
actually sounds
North
familiar.
Dakota voters first. You still
Yeah, and
pay
if I
for their
remember
website?
right,
They still pay
you
for their
show the
website.
website. Are you serious? But yeah, like
Why
you
are
pulled
you
up the
paying for
website
this
on one of
shit?
our streams, and yeah, they didn't explain the fucking thing on what they actually wanted.
Oh, they're just literally this page now. Grassroots way to just burn that word right there.
I was
Uh,
about to say, honestly, I think between the last couple cycles, between this group and the others, and both of them, grassroots, man, I think they're starting to light that word on fire.
NDVF is a grassroots group of North Dakotans from across the political spectrum. We support ideas and like open primaries and nonpartisan redistricting. We support ideas, guys. I don't know about you. I also support ideas. I
I'm
love ideas.
pro thought, man.
We're against special interests. Okay, you're being a little pointed there. And who'd rather protect their wallets than do what's best for North Dakota.
Is this a fucking high school project? Be honest.
Oh God. Statewide committee of local leaders began convening in late 2019 to explore policies to modernize elections and put the power back in the hands of North Dakota voters. It was so broad.
Yeah.
They had polls though. They had public opinion research about the upcoming November 2020 ballot. Wonder how true they think they are. Let's see the outcome. Tell me what. Oh wow, you guys paid a full-on research company
Wow.
in St. Paul to better understand how North Dakotans view the upcoming election. How much you want to bet one of them's going to be that it was stolen? You guys want to take a bet on that one? Oh, I have two measures to consider, which deals with the Board of Higher Education. Shows the race roughly split with the yes, no, and undecided glimmering roughly 1/3 each. The yes starts at just 33%. Right, fairly low territory for a yes. What? Roughly the same amount of yes votes. So they were gonna get shot down. When it comes to yes support, there's no real difference in initial support of basic demographics. This isn't even good for them. Like, this isn't even public,
Yeah.
this literally just says that they're gonna, yeah. We looked at messages surfacing by opponents, including is a power grab, it's an insult, it's a Trojan horse. By the legislature? No, nobody was saying that. Literally nobody said that it was a power grab by the legislature, nor was it a Trojan horse. It was
Yeah.
basically people
What the
saying
fuck?
that it was out of state. And also just the shitty messaging that they had with, like, voters not caring about the military, some shit like that. I remember there was a military aspect to it.
Mhm.
That's what really
I'm
pushed
stuck
people
on that.
over.
The fact that like we did a stream and you opened up this website and it was just like we could not find anything explaining like what exactly they were doing. It was just we're
We're
grassroots
supporting
and we
the
want
military.
yeah,
That's what it
like we're
was.
grassroots and we want voter access and blah blah blah. Nothing explaining how or why.
I think the thing was that a lot of people had mentioned was that when they got walked up on with the petition, the only thing that was told to them was this is for the military voting. So it was like voter access for the military, but the way that they said it was the military couldn't vote, which, okay, if that's what you think, I guess.
Yeah, that was some shit, man.
Those findings of the second and final statewide survey. Dude, these guys got fucking wrecked. When did they do this? Let's see. Was it just this, like, last week they updated this? Alright, Wayback Machine. By the way, just a little hint for people who run websites and stuff like that. If you guys want to get a better SEO score, Wayback Machine to your shit, or archive.it. It's kind of what I usually use. That basically it's back to Wayback Machine. Just a hint. I don't know to who. Okay, so major change happened March 16th. That's what it was. So they put this up, I think, in March 16th. No, because it was the About Us page that caused it. That must be. Here we go. Yep, March 18th is when this posted. Because the Shopee for it did not have it. Oh, they did have it in October. I know they never had it during the whole entire thing. They went post like, yeah, here it is. So it happened October 28th. Or September 28th. Nope, that's September. It's October. Why can't I move? Oh my god. There. October 28th, 2020. That's when they posted that they were going to get wrecked. I guess it is interesting to read, like, you know, like, I wish that there would be a little bit like, this is what we were thinking, and this was what our, you know, our plan of attack was and stuff like that during this, because it would just be really interesting to hear. Oh, here's the survey. Remember how I said that I really like it when there's like research with the actual questions in the survey?
Mm-hmm.
They actually did it in this one. They were going to say 40% were vote by mail. Oh, okay. And then they also had in person. Okay. Whatever. Do you think North Dakota is moving in the right direction? North Dakota's moving in the right direction, guys. 54% of y'all think that. Except for 17 of them are unsure. I think that's volunteered or did not identify. What a shocker. 58% Trump, 37% Biden, 61 for Burgum. In a favorable light. That's the AG. This like the school. I'm not 100% sure which part of the school she is. She's like main. 56% Trump, 37% Biden, 3% other candidate. So what was the name of that chick? The one that just basically wanted to make a documentary and she just ran for it. Forgot her name.
Yeah.
She was a libertarian. I wonder how her documentary went, because that's all she was in it for. You could tell that she was only in it to write a documentary and to have a documentary about her like trials and tribulations. For when she hired a huge Hollywood production for advertisement. It was like a 3-second ad with like video guy, of course. I'm a video guy. With like planned motion with fucking like smoke, cinematic as fuck, just like full like Hollywood production shit. Just like, dude, come on. Half these people are using the cable provider to actually make their ads. Like obviously Joe Biden and Donald Trump actually had like people, but like smaller people. Dwayne Henderson had 6%. Shelley Lenz was, I mean, not that close, but I thought she was a little bit closer, to be quite honest. She had really good support behind her, 24%. This guy's insane right here, like quite literally. If he won governor, I would have immediately moved. Literally, not even packed my shit up, just started walking.
Just fuck it, I'm out of here.
Like, literally. Just look at his Facebook. That's all you need to know. He is a very heavy Q supporter. He believes that the election was truly in Joe Biden and Donald Trump's favor, and that he will be president someday. He has been wrong all 3 times. State auditor, I don't know what that is. Don't really care much about them. One constitutional ballot measure. This is the Board of Higher Education. I think this won, didn't it? Or no, it did lose. I don't know. What was the outcome of Measure 1? If they had gone out, yes would have had 33%. No would have 39%. Those were like, they said yes or no. And then they had 28% of people to convince otherwise. And the other side, I don't know what the other side of Measure 2 would even be. To convince. Oh no, there was an entire group that came out of this. It was like no to Measure 2 or some shit.
Yeah.
And they were like going hard, and they had money and stuff behind them too. So.
Yep, that was actually a big thing.
Yeah, I remember being in that group too. And then they also went for like Anti-Freedom of Cannabis Act too, like during that whole thing. And I'm just sitting there just like watching shit burn. Because they're like, oh my god, you know, they fucking got wrecked in court and stuff like that. Now let's talk about the other measure that's supposed to submit its signatures. We're not going to talk about Measure 1 though. Because yeah, that's on the ballot already. So we're not, yeah. The find of the based on what you read/heard about Measure 2, did you find the concept of the measure to be understandable, somewhat understandable, or didn't understand it at all? Bullshit. 34%. The 34% probably, oh, yeah, 34% probably understood that it was to make the military vote. 36% somewhat understandable. They had an uphill battle the entire time.
Oh yeah.
You've heard arguments for Measure 2, you've heard arguments against. As a quick reminder, Measure 2 would subject citizen-passed constitutional ballot measures to a vote of the legislator. What? That was not. Oh wait, they were measure 3. Wow, I just like. So ND voters first was measure 3, because I remember making the joke of the the possibility of measure 3 passing. Measure 2 and what this entire paper was about is citizen pass constitutional ballot measures.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one got fucked pretty hard.
Dude, so even if where's the thing? Even if this passes, like they have pretty close. Limit the put a higher bar for passing, 60% majority, and then just basically limit constitutional measures in general. So we're just talking in generalities. They're like, if we just applied it directly, which is not the case here, but only 20% would approve. Uphill battle if I ever heard of one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just thinking out loud, but I wonder. A place. Where do I look at the history? 6,000 tabs open right now. Okay. Place of measure under signature being circulated. Can I look at the last ballot measure? I'm trying to find what the original measure 3 was, and I'm trying to see if it's the same people. Okay, let's look at their hands. Search. What you guys like to call yourselves? Let's see. By the way, public information can't really get me in trouble for whatever the fuck it is.
What can't?
Having the name and address and everything like that. Committees, independent political. It wouldn't be a organization name. I don't have that. I just want to look up a name. Sure. Yeah, it wasn't gonna get that. What the fuck are they called? I'm just trying to see, like, okay, initiative petition. Petition title. Full text measure. It doesn't even have a name. Okay, I'm gonna do a lot more research into that one. But yeah, Delta 8 is illegal. So smoke up before it gets filed with Secretary of State, probably tomorrow. Actually, it probably already has, to be honest. So it was signed on the 23rd, by the way.
Just such a disgrace. Really is.
RIP North Dakota, essentially.
Yep.
But yeah, and it was weird that they also added Delta 10 to it, because like that was the little known one. That was the like lesser known one that people were gonna go to. There's probably still gonna be another one of those coming out, but yeah. Till then, sorry.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, just as you said, fucking
least
R.I.P. man.
At least
What a
I'm gonna have a
waste.
little bit of fun. But yeah. Anyway, that's all we got.
Yeah.
If you guys liked this super
Format.
chill, laid back format, comment, and we will see you guys on Friday on the YouTube channel. And on Thursday, if you guys like the podcasty type of episodes, 95.9 Radio Free Fargo with ND Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. As you can tell, it's not in front of my face. I do not have the script. So make sure to check us out on Friday. Usually 5 o'clock is when those go live. If you guys look on the podcasting platform of your choice, we're pretty much on every single one of them. Canna-Talk ND, you can get the episodes the same day. It's usually about an hour after. I'll have more information about how things have changed once I get stuff figured out with my job and new life. But till then, we will see you guys on Friday, and we will try to do another Cannaheads next weekend. This kind of depends on how shit goes. But
Life, man.
right. Felt bad though. After a while, I was like, damn it.
That's why I was, oh fuck, I can't bail again.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys. You guys have a great rest of your. Fuck, it's midnight. Rest of the day. Good morning. But yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.